I'm going to promise you within the next 10 minutes or so that I will probably get at least one person in this room angry. I think. What else is new, right? All right, a lot of you may be confused. But before we begin, and I want to do this at the beginning, by a show of hands, how many of you drove here tonight? Either passenger or driver. Is there anybody who didn't? Oh, then I don't need to ask any more questions. Okay. So everybody, we're agreeing, I need witnesses, that everybody had their hand up there. Okay? If not, what? Well, if not, you need to tell me now. All right, we're going on. So, Tyler is reading tomorrow one of the most famous sections of Torah that there is. The section of Torah that has to deal with the Passover story, the 10 plagues. And we read about all of these terrible natural disasters that destroy a nation, the nation of Egypt, and kill countless innocent people, including children. Hauntingly familiar to what we've been experiencing in the news this week. Now, why does God choose to bring these natural disasters to Egypt? Well, because God wants to punish Pharaoh and the Egyptians who are holding the Israelites slaves. And he also wants to send a strong message to the Israelites and the world about how powerful God is. Now, my colleague, although I don't think he knows who the heck I am, the Reverend Pat Robertson this week, said that the earthquake in Haiti was a result of Haiti's pact with the devil, that Haiti is cursed by God, that the earthquake is punishment. If you don't believe me, just Google his name, and it's the first thing that will come up, and you can actually watch him say it. I know that this is absurd, but if you come tomorrow morning and you listen to the Torah, it sounds familiar. God punishing a nation because they're bad with natural disasters. Danny Glover, the actor, he had this to say about the earthquake in relation to the climate summit that took place in Copenhagen that many feel didn't accomplish anything. He says, when we see what we did at the climate summit in Copenhagen, this earthquake was the appropriate response. This is what happens. The earthquake is a punishment for the sins of man. Don't believe me on that one? Again, Google him, you can see it. Hundreds of thousands of innocent dead people because we screwed up at a conference in Copenhagen. Come on. But, again, it sounds a whole heck of a lot like our Torah portion this week. I see some of you going, oh my God, you're right. Now, does Pat Robertson, I don't know so much about Danny Glover, that could have just been a stupid statement. But, well, I saw it in context, it's just a stupid, yeah, exactly. Do they really, people like that, do they really believe that God is punishing the people of Haiti? And the answer is yes. And you know what? They are not alone. They are not alone. There are millions upon millions of people, I guarantee you, who feel that the earthquake that took place in Haiti was a divine act. Whether it was an act of retribution or part of the divine plan, we can have that argument, but they believe that God was involved. And you say, why? Well, because of religion. And why? Because of the Torah. And why? Because of this week's Torah portion, which says God will send natural disasters to a nation that is bad. So when the tsunami hit, when New Orleans was flooded, you heard all of this same crazy stuff. But I stand up on here at the same beam of calling it crazy when tomorrow morning we're going to read it. We're going to read it from the Torah. Now, I don't believe that the earthquake in Haiti is a punishment at all. I don't think God had anything to do with the earthquake in Haiti. I also, and here's, remember, I said I'm going to get some of you upset. My wife, probably number one, who's here.
You already did.
Already there, dear. I don't believe, warned you all, I don't believe that God was behind the plagues in Egypt. I don't believe that God literally sent these disasters. Makes a good story. I don't take the Bible literally. It contains history, absolutely, there's no doubt about it. But it's not a history book. It's a religious, spiritual story of our people at the beginning of their Jewish experience. It's a story about a spiritual journey that still is holy and sacred and incredible, and it still inspires me every single day, and it provokes incredible discussion and thought. The story in the Torah, though, in my opinion, is not fact. And listen to what I'm saying here. It's much deeper, much more profound than any fact that I know. The story of the Torah transcends fact. Some say that because I don't believe a factual Torah, and because I don't believe in a God that has the power to punish us, that therefore I don't believe in God. Those people who argue that obviously don't know who I am and what I believe. I don't believe in a vengeful, angry, all-powerful God. That's true, I don't. But I believe in God. I believe in more of the Jewish God that we learn about in Kabbalah, in Jewish mysticism. A view that God is incredibly powerful, yet at the same time, absolutely beyond the concept of power. And we can talk about my view of God at another time. And we can talk about it in the Oneg when you attack me. We can do that. But, so the question is, so how do I understand this God of Exodus? The Torah was written centuries ago by our ancestors who were just starting